Okay, a very good morning to all of you present here. On behalf of Selan Exploration Technology Limited, I welcome all our dignitaries, shareholders, and esteemed guests on this 38th annual general meeting of Selan held through video conferencing as allowed by SEBI and MCA. The annual report and notice was dispatched to the shareholders on 6th of September 2023, and the same was uploaded on our website www.salenoil.com as well as on the website of the stock exchanges. In compliance with the provision of Companies Act 2013 and rule made thereunder, the company had provided e-voting facility to its shareholders who were holding shares as on the cutoff date, that is 22nd September 2023. The e-voting period remains open from 26 September 2023 to 28 September 2023. Those shareholders who did not cast their e-vote and holding shares as on cutoff date are eligible to cast their vote during AGM through e-voting. Mr. Ankit Singhi, practicing company secretary, has been appointed as the scrutinizer in respect of e-voting of this AGM. We have with us Mr. Suniti Kumar Bhatt, our Honorable Chairman, Mr. Shiva Kumar Potpulli, Whole-Time Director and Chief Financial Officer of the Selan, and Mr. Rajiv Tirupati, Chief Financial Officer of Selan. Along with them, we also have Chairman of Audit Committee, Mr. Manjeet Singh, Chairman of Nomination and Remuneration Committee, Mr. Manjeet Singh, and the Chairman of Stakeholder Relationship Committee, Mr. Manjeet Singh of the board, are present to answer shareholders' queries, if any. The AGM shall begin with the speech by the Chairman of the board, Mr. Suniti Kumar Bhatt, post which we will allow the speaker shareholder to ask their queries. Now I request Mr. Bhatt, our Honorable Chairman, to proceed further with the annual general meeting. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Yogita. Thank you. Dear shareholders, on behalf of the board and the team at Selan, I would like to welcome you to this year's AGM. Financial year 2023 has been a strong year for your company. It has been supported by stable production volumes. We have had favorable commodity prices, and in totality, we have had a great year. I am delighted to report that we crossed the last financial year with a 53% growth in our revenues compared to the previous year, and we had revenue of around 122 crores. The EBITDA for the year was around 63 crore, which was within the top quartile industry margin, EBITDA margin of around 50%. As of the end of the last fiscal year, that is 31st March 2023, the balance sheet position of your company was strong. We had healthy cash and cash equivalents. We had around 199 crores in our balance sheet, with overall sales that we did for the year at 186,000 barrels of oil equivalent per day, equivalent throughout the year. It has been a significant year also for this company because this was a year of change. This was a year in which this company came under new management. Pursuant to an SPA that was signed with the ex-promoters of this company, the company was taken over by Blackbuck Energy Limited, which is the current promoter. And also we made an open offer, which was concluded effectively 1st of July in the last fiscal year. The change of control happened. The change of control actually brought a lot of things into our company. It brought along with it a very seasoned E&P team with a very deep India experience. And the team, part of the members of the team that you see are actually panelists and have joined the board. And we have also augmented the board with people who also have a deep India experience as regulators, as senior people in the E&P industry. So we have a very diverse board that has been created. You will see winds of change, which is poising this company on the anvil of growing strongly in the years to come. What happened, some of the key things that happened in the year that has gone by. We initiated a drilling campaign. As you know, shareholders, Selan has three key fields. Selan has Bakrol, Lohar, and Karjisan. These are the three key fields we had. In the year that is gone, one of our key fields, which was Karjisan, had stopped producing. I think it stopped producing somewhere in October of 2023. So it was very pertinent for the new management to look at restarting production from Karjisan because the commodity prices were strong. So we initiated a drilling campaign within a record time. We initiated a drilling campaign from December, not just looking at Karjisan only, but we looked at all the three fields and initiated a drilling campaign. I am happy to report to the shareholders that the first wells were drilled within the financial year. As of today, we have nearly 10 wells drilled in the fields across, including Karjisan. And Karjisan is back in production, stronger than it was in the last year, which you must have seen in the Q1 results of this company. The other focus that we put in this company as we went forward was on governance. We have actually enhanced the governance practices. That was a key focus area for year 22-23. We changed some internal policies on good governance. We put in certain policies and certain committees that, for example, we constituted the risk management committee, which we are not required to do given our size by SEBI or corporate law, but it's a good practice to have. So we have so that we understand the business risk, we understand the risk to our operation, and it has all independent board members as a part of it. It has some of the seasoned professionals also a part of it. We felt that was a need because the business that we run is a business that is about managing the risk. So we have reconstituted the risk committee. We have also, I'm pleased to let the shareholders know, we have also focused a lot on diversity. We have increased the diversity in our organization by around 30% in the year gone by. You will see a lot of focus on increasing diversity, creating transparency with our shareholders, communicating a lot more frequently with you through various investor shows. We will start putting in whatever we talk in our investor road shows on our websites. So what I had promised you last year in terms of transparency, you will start seeing it with a renewed and redoubled effort as we go through this year. As we took over the operations of Selan fields from July on, one of the other focuses that we had was on zero harm and safety. I think in our business, in oil and gas industry, safety of people who work for us, safety of people who live near us is very critical. We can only get our license to operate by following a zero harm policy. So our operational policy was renewed. We relaunched certain campaigns around zero harm to people. We really augmented our workforce from safety perspective, got specialized safety officers because we are also starting our drilling campaign, and started training some of the new recruits we have into the system around safe operations and how to do it safely within the oil and gas industry. Our target would be to become a top quartile safety stat oil and gas company within India in the years to come. And that's a journey that we are embarking on. That's the journey we will do. In terms of our operational and strategic view going forward, this has, as I said, it has been a year of change. It has been a strong year in terms of increased production, increased revenue, but it also provides us an opportunity to define how will we grow as we go forward. I think one of the things that we learned as we went through the year is that there is potential in our fields, which is Lohar, Bakrol, and Karjisan. And the drilling campaign that we have done, it has confirmed certain things, at least for our key field, which is Bakrol and Karjisan. We have had certain challenges in Lohar, which is a declining field, but Bakrol and Karjisan remain strong and are adding to our bottom lines very well. You have also seen in the year that has gone by that how the geopolitical conflicts impact our industry. I think the Ukraine war, that completely changed the commodity prices, which in some cases it helped us because we started getting better revenues, but also then getting Russian crude supply into India had a downward pressure on the crude prices that we are getting from various people. And none of that is within our control. Because we do not control oil prices and gas prices, what the management and the board philosophy is that what we will focus though on is that all our capital decisions will be made based on oil gas prices which are lower, so that we can keep on producing positive revenues and profitable returns to the shareholders, even in a low oil price scenario. So that is the capital discipline that we are going to adhere to as we go forward and grow the company. Our strategy going forward is going to be around growth. I think if you're going to ask me what will be our three key priorities, our three key priorities are going to be growth, growth, and growth. It is going to be in the areas that matter to us, to this country, and to all the shareholders. I think you know that the industry that we are working in, which is oil and gas industry, is going through winds of change. Uh, Not that much in India, but definitely outside India, which is also coming to India. There is a focus on energy transition. There is going to be a focus on towards greener, cleaner energy. I think you will see a lot of focus of this company also will get into gas, moving from crude to gas production. India itself has a huge potential to increase the size of the gas economy. I think with the government putting in pipelines and putting in macro policies in place, which make production of gas domestically in India and consumption a lot more lucrative, we will focus on adding more and more gas assets into the fold of Selan and making sure that we make that transition as far as the green economy is concerned. A step towards that transition has been our recent announcement of a merger of Antilopus and Selan. Antilopus is primarily gas-heavy portfolios and is across basins that we actually in Selan do not have exposure to, which is the Cambay Basin. So we see a lot of synergy in terms of both energy transition, in terms of reserve growth, and overall growth as we go through this exciting times that we are currently finding ourselves in. Uh, with the robust demand that's in place, all I can say of our energy is that your company is poised on a turning point with what the board has in mind, and what the management is looking at. We are hopefully going to become one of India's leading independent energy producers in the years to come. And we seek your active support in achieving that vision. And we thank you for being patient with us in the years that have gone by and the year that has gone. Thank you very much, and look forward to having an in-person meeting at sometime next year. Thank you. Over to you, Yogita.
Now I would request Mr. Meenal Bang to ask his questions.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Ms.
Yes.
Meenal.
Yeah. Hi, thanks for the opportunity. I have already submitted my list of questions. Still, I will read out few questions.
Sure.
The first set of questions are on Selan's operations. First question, with the current management being around more than a year, how do we look at Selan's acquisition? What are the key advantages with the assets that we have got, and what challenges are we facing across various functions? Second question, as a new management, what would be our top three achievements, and what are three underachievement in last 1 year or so? Can you please share? Third question, Mr. Suniti has talked about enhancing recovery at existing blocks. As per our technical analysis, what is the annualized potential that we see at combined level in Ceylon exploration? What time frame do you think it will come? Fourth, as the recovery factor improves at all our oil fields, what is the outlook on drilling cost and other operating costs? Are they likely to grow in the same proportion? Can you please elaborate? The next set of questions are on antelopes.
So,
What is the
Meenal,
current
Meenal,
scale of,
uh, Meenal,
yeah,
can
yeah,
we go through the Selan questions first and then you ask the Antilopus questions? Because I will forget all the questions you have asked. I have
uh,
a reasonable memory, but not that good a memory. All right.
so I have completed, I have only four questions on Ceylon's operations. Now, the next set is on antelopes.
Okay, let me finish the Selan answering your Selan questions, and then we will pick up your Antilopus questions. Okay, we'll answer all the questions. So let me go with the Selan first. I think you're at a high level. Selan
Okay.
is a strong company. I think the assets have turned out, as I said earlier, when I was generally going through the year that has gone by. It is a strong set of asset portfolios. I think the cornerstone asset that Selan has is Bakrol, and we sort of had an indication of it when we looked at acquiring Selan a year ago. Now that we have been managing the fields for a year or so, we think our belief that was there in Bakrol is getting more and more reaffirmed by the latest drilling that we have drilled in Bakrol. Also, as I said, that we drilled nearly 10 wells. We are seeing good, positive, robust results coming from Bakrol. Uh, the Karjisan field has been a positive surprise. I have to say that it's stopped in October, but currently it is also producing a decent amount of oil and gas put together. So we have drilled around 3 wells in Karjisan as of now, which are all producing. We will look at restarting one more drilling campaign, hopefully in Karjisan sometime soon, and we'll come to the market and all the shareholders about it. So our achievement has been around the fact that we were able to, one, get integrated within the Selan existing people, and very smooth transition from the old management to new management. That was one, which is always a challenging piece. The second piece, which has been, is that we have been able to put together a very strong and a diverse board, which brings in huge experience from the corporate world, from the oil and gas India world, and from the banking. And we are really looking forward to leveraging the strengths of this board as we grow. The third piece that I think is an achievement is about our focus and push on safe operations in the field. I know we would like to call the drilling, reinitiating drilling within a short period of time an achievement. My team would like to say me that, but I think the focus on the safety and no harm to everybody, really pushing that message through is a lot more important if we have to grow, because as we will grow, that will become very important to us. Some of the things that didn't go as well as we planned as we entered this year, exit the last year, has been around Lohar. Lohar actually is a declining field. We had hoped that Lohar will have some things that had escaped the attention of previous people who had looked at it. So we have drilled a well in Lohar. It is producing oil and gas, but it is not as much oil and gas that as we would have liked it to produce. So in all likelihood, Lohar is, we will not be doing any more drilling in Lohar, but it is a field that sort of is in decline. And we will be working on managing the costs and keeping the cost structures low in Lohar. The other thing that could have gone better is always safety. I know we have done very well in safety. I put it in an achievement, but I will also put it in areas that we could improve on, because there is always room for being better and better at safety and sustainability. I think one of the things that we have kick-started recently from a sustainability is we are basically making sure that every molecule of gas that is getting produced is going to be piped and is going to be sold rather than being flared or vented to atmosphere. That's something that I am taking personal commitment, giving the shareholders personal commitment on. One, it's waste of revenue. Second, it's not good for environment. So that is hopefully going to be done in this current fiscal year. I would have liked it to be done last fiscal year. I think you picked up on enhanced oil recovery. I think the big part that you will see us pushing for as we go to the next year is going to be around the EOR potential, or in this case, we starting with the water flooding potential, because the cornerstone field Bakrol, actually the recoveries are low. We are still talking about 10s and 12s. So it has potential, but we need to establish the potential. So next year, in all likelihood, we probably will start some pilots, water injection pilots. We have done some good progress on that. So watch out the space for that. So we would, as we have drilled wells in Bakrol, we find that there is oil. We are just now pushing towards recovery. And the first step would be when will we start a water injection pilot in this field? Hopefully that answers your Selan questions, and then we can move on to Antilope's questions. If you could repeat them. If I have missed anything, please point it out. Over to you, Meena.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. I'll just read out the Antilopus one.
Okay.
Yeah. What is the current scale of operations of Antilopus Energy? How is it? How is its profitability in current contracted areas? And how are the drilling and other operating costs in Antilopus? Is it comparable to Selan? Can you please share a detailed perspective? As per our technical analysis, what is the scope of recovery in all the assets of Antilopus? Next one, what were the plans of Antilopus prior to the acquisition of Selan and post merger? How does things change for both the organizations? The next one is, how do we ensure that the cash that we would be lending to Antilopus is prudently utilized? What are risk mitigation strategies? Sorry. The next one is, can you share a broader perspective on what kind of assets or investments we would not like to touch? What are the primary filters for evaluating any asset? The next question is the organization contemplating to have an ESOP policy for the top management of the company? And the last one is, can you please help us understand the role of the board in our organization, and what are the three priorities of the management and the board? And in the last, I just have a suggestion. Our business generates a decent amount of cash flow. While it is important to reinvest cash into the business, as a prudent organization, isn't it also important to distribute a part of the earnings as dividends? Last 2 years, we have refrained from announcing dividends. I would urge the management to seriously consider the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Minal. I think we are pretty much, this is all encompassing after this one. But let me start with Antilopus and sort of get in broader perspective. Antilopus, as of today, has four licenses. Two of them are offshore. One is Mumbai offshore. One of them is Mahanadi offshore, or just to the north of KG. Then it has an onshore license in Assam. And then it has an onshore contract area in Andhra, for which PML, or production mining license, is awaited from the government of Andhra. So primarily the Antilopus portfolio is gas. There is, as of now, no revenue being generated in Antilopus. As far as the scale of assets between Antilopus and Selan is concerned, because currently we have various advisors looking at the relative numbers, and that's going to be determined to figure out what should be the relative valuations in a merger scheme. So I will not get into the specifics of it, but one thing I will say is that effectively and we have recently gone public with it also when the board approved the merger, is Antilopus is augmenting what Selan has. I think Selan has all its assets in Cambe Basin. Antilopus has its assets outside Cambe Basin. Selan is still an oil-heavy portfolio. Antilopus is a gas-heavy portfolio, which also touches onto the whole energy transition piece we are talking about. And gas itself, as you guys, if you are watching the markets, has become sort of demerged from oil in terms of gas pricing. We are starting to see LNG pricing on its own working through. So you don't always see, we saw very high gas prices, but not so oil prices. So gas in itself is becoming a commodity that will demand, creates its own market, creates its own pricing. And with the pipeline infrastructure and all that's coming up in the country, it is the commodity that we would like to get in, which sort of touches to your third question, which is the broader perspective. As we will grow, the way we look at it, is that we stand solidly on the revenues that our key fields like Bakrol will generate, right? But we will go for and we will use them to get us into cleaner and cleaner fuels, which is gas. We haven't talked about hydrogen, but some point we might, because we want to take it one step at a time. So we will do the sustainability journey and energy transition journey for us. Things we will not touch as of today, because this keeps on changing in terms of how we grow, how big we become. Things we will not touch is exploration. Rank exploration, we are not interested in doing as of today. And one of the reasons for that is between what we have in Antilopus and between what we have in Selan, there is enough what is called contingent resources or resources that are yet not producing or developed for next 7 to 8 years for us to focus on, generate cash from. For that, over the next 3 years, we don't see a major reason for us to get into exploration or basically whereby you are taking big bets on finding oil and gas. So we will focus on discovered resources. We'll focus on whereby we know oil and gas is there, either through our drilling or by bidding for blocks which are already like that. I'll talk about the ESOPs. The ESOPs that Selan board had approved already have been granted to the employees. I think the only people who did were not, and I think ESOPs are very important. ESOPs have been given to all Selan employees rather than just the management at Selan. We have made sure that everybody in Selan is a small company by given the number of people who work for it, and everybody's contribution works and matters. So therefore, it has been given to all employees, everybody apart from the founder directors. So founder directors were not issued any ESOP, but everybody else in the company has been issued ESOPs that shareholders had graciously approved earlier through e-voting. I think as far as the board is concerned, I also touched on it. The board that we have put in is a diverse board. It has its strengths in understanding deeply the India oil and gas sector, understanding deeply the India operations sector. I think if you look at the CVs of the board members, you will see they come from banking, they come from operations, they come from core oil and gas sector, they come from commercial legal structure. So we believe that we have a board that is well poised to take this uh, company and give direction to the management to take this company into future with sustainability at its heart as we go forward. And of course, the board's job is there to, apart from giving us direction, to take care of all shareholders' interests. Hopefully, I've answered the questions that you had. I think the last question was dividend. I'm just looking at my notes. We will look at the dividend policy. I think it is always a catch-22 because we know we have so many places whereby reinvestment creates value for the shareholders. I think if and we thank people for, if you look at the stock movement over the last year, the value for shareholders is getting created. Shareholders hopefully are seeing it. But I do take your point on dividends also. So we will deliberate it at the board, and from board perspective, we'll take the directions of the board and relook at it as we go into this year. So thank you for bringing it up.
Okay. Now I would request Mr. Himanshu Upadhyay to ask his questions.
Hello. Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, Himanshu. Good
Yes,
morning.
sir, you are audible.
Yeah. So my first question was, uh, how do we decide what percentage of employee benefits to transfer to development of hydrocarbon properties? Just from the prudence sake, would not it be better that employee benefits be directly accounted as the cost entry within this year? So that was one of the things which I had in my mind. And historically, I don't think we had done employee benefits transferred or a percentage of employee benefits to development hydrocarbon properties. You want me to read all the questions or you want to reply one by one?
I think we can go one by one also. That might be a bit easier. I think, look, I will add to it and then I will ask if I miss anything, I will ask our CFO, Rajiv, to pitch in. But look, it's a pretty standard practice that when we do create asset base, and this is an accounting question, so I'll try to do my best. So for everybody else on the call, that what part of the cost, the employee cost that you take straight into your PNL and take a PNL hit and expense it out, and what part of it are you putting into assets? I think the basic underlying principle is that any effort that employees are making towards creating value or towards adding reserves, towards doing development gets capitalized and is passed into the asset piece. I think what we do typically is we see that people who are working on routine production operations, those costs are actually passed into production operations, get into the P&L. But people, for example, if I'm drilling 3 wells, right? And those 3 wells aren't into production. Those 3 wells don't get drilled by themselves. There is a geologist involved, there's a geophysicist involved, there's a driller involved, there's a lot of people involved. So their costs are actually well costs as well. So those are the costs that start getting into the well and getting capitalized. Rajiv, did I miss anything?
I think just Himanshu, thank you for the question. I'll just add a point. See, any cost which is getting moving into DHP or getting capitalized, because the value generation happens over a series of years because the well keeps producing. So at the first instantaneous point in time, we actually move it into DHP, and this is a practice which Selan has historically been doing. Just it might not have been visible during the preceding years because most of it was just into operations. But in the year gone by, what we have done is any expense which has been incurred towards drilling, whether it's in terms of the geologist cost or petrophysicist cost, which has gone actually into the well drilling part of it, has been moved into DHP. But all expenses which have been incurred towards production operations are being expensed off. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thanks. And second question is, what are our capex plans for the company for FY24? The wells we want to drill.
Okay, on the FY24, I think we'll come up with a capex guidance, but what we will keep on drilling wells at least in Bakron. Karjistan also there is a room for drilling more wells, so we'll come out with you with the details. Currently, the reason I'm not giving you is not because I don't want to give, because based on the wells that have been drilled in Bakron, the team is integrating that data into the existing Bakron field data itself. And it's based on that integration and what that data throws in, will we be able to firm up our capex plans for the year to come. But one thing is given that we will definitely drill wells next year as well. How many? That I don't know as of yet.
Okay, so two questions are on employees. We increased the employee base from 26 to 44 in last year.
Mm.
Do we plan to increase employee base further from here on also? And secondly, do we expect to see further increase in the employee related expense in FY24, or we think the hiring and the elevated costs will remain and the hiring is now be flattish, okay, or the number of employees? That was one of the questions.
I think, look, we have increased the people is because there were things that needed to be done within the organization that were not being done. I think the organization was not in any growth mode. I think when we grow, growth has to be driven by people. So therefore, as long as we look at the growth mode and we are in the growth mode, we will need people. As of today, we think we have a sufficient number of people as we stand, give or take. We might hire people here or there. To sort of champion through what we are doing. But it can change very quickly. So, for example, if we realize our focus on safety is not yielding results, irrespective of its impact on bottom line, I would like to get some specialized safety people in. So that is the flexibility we will keep with ourselves. But as far as staffing for growth is concerned, we are reasonably staffed as far as growth is concerned as of now. Whether how the employee cost moves with time, I think, look, employees are there. I'm hoping the share options come through. We create value for all stakeholders, including employees. That's something that's business as usual as we go forward.
And one more question was on this. We last year bought 100% participating interest in a field from PFH. Okay, what is happening there? And we don't find much communication on that after, I think, last year when the press release came out. Okay.
I think it is the Ilau field you're talking about. What has happened in the Ilau field is we're waiting on the ministry for approving the PI transfer. It's gotten into a little bit of bureaucratic challenges, but we expect that it should come out within next month or so. We are hoping that we'll drill the first Ilau well somewhere next quarter. That's what at least the current plan. But we are waiting for a final PI approval, transfer approval from the oil ministry.
And can you give the top three priorities for senior management in FY 24-25, means or the work to be done?
I think, look, I have said safety. I think we will have to walk the talk on safety. The second piece is going to be making sure that every molecule of gas or oil we produce is piped and is sold. And the third one is going to be growth. I think, look, I would again reiterate safety and growth. Safety, sustainability, and growth are going to be the three key things that we'll focus on. Growth uh, through integration with Ankylopas, growth through internal further drilling. But we are looking at creating a mid-sized oil and gas company for our shareholders over the next few years.
Okay, thank you from my side.
Thank you, Himanshu.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Himanshu. Now, I would request Mr. Ankur Chanda to ask his question.
Sir, I'm audible.
Yes,
Yes.
Ankur, you're audible.
Okay. Good morning to everyone. सर मैं देख रहा हूँ कि कंपनी वर्किंग अच्छा कर रही है, मैनेजमेंट भी अच्छा कर रही है, लेकिन एक सर छोटी सी कंप्लेंट है, वो ये है कि अपने सेक्रेटेरियल डिपार्टमेंट को कहिए थोड़ा सा जो है ना शेयर होल्डर के लिंक में, बस ये लोग लिंक में नहीं है, क्योंकि हम कांटेक्ट करना चाहें तो हम कर नहीं पाते हैं, क्योंकि फोन मिलाए तो फोन नहीं मिलता, मतलब जो भी है मतलब किसी तरह से लिंक में नहीं है, और ये तो हमारे से करते ही नहीं है। तो बस यही कंप्लेंट है, बाकी आप लोग वर्किंग अच्छा कर रहे हैं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। ठीक है सर, बस इस कंप्लेंट को जो कंसिडर कीजिएगा और इनको कहिएगा थोड़ा सा, बस धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद अंकुर जी, हम इसको देखेंगे। एक डेडिकेटेड सेक्रेटरियल नंबर नया हम आपके लिए लगा देंगे और एक ईमेल भी डाल देते हैं। ईमेल पे आप कम्युनिकेट कर सकते हैं, जो एक को नहीं कम से कम 3 या 4 लोगों को सेक्रेटरियल डिपार्टमेंट में दिखे। एंड मैं भी बीच बीच में खुद मॉनिटर करता रहूंगा, वो मैं आपसे इतना तो वादा कर सकता हूँ।
Now, I request
ठीक
Mr.
है सर,
Vaibhav
थैंक यू।
Bajaj to ask his questions.
Yeah, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, Fabio,
Yes.
you are
Uh,
all.
yeah, so thanks for providing me the opportunity. And first of all, I would like to appreciate the changes that has been done post the change in management in terms of investor interaction, providing detailed answers, and everything that is really helpful. Now I have list of questions, so but I will just ask whatever has not been responded. We'll again probably do question by question. That would be helpful. So first is uh, on Bakrol. What is the status of EC extension beyond January 2024? I think that was pending. So if you can provide an update on that.
I think on Bakrol we have EC till January 24 to drill wells. I think under that current EC we are drilling the wells. We have already applied for a new EC. I think the process is underway. I think it takes a little bit of time. Hopefully, we'll get into public hearing soon, and after that, we will get into drilling. So that's where we are. I mean, that's basically the update on it. We are expecting that before the second phase of drilling starts in Bakrul, I think in the next fiscal year that the EC is going to be in place. I think it has also been made much smoother and much more proactive with visibility of Parivesh and all. So we are reasonably comfortable that EC should not become a showstopper in our drilling in these fields.
Okay. And for Elau, you answered that post approval you will drill one well. But is it like total well plan to be drilled in Elau is only one, or based on that you will drill more wells? I'm talking about maybe 1.5, 2 years, 3 years. What is the total plan for the development of Elau field?
I think, look, Ilau, as of now, as it appears, as we have looked at it, looks like a small field. So
Okay.
we think a well is justified, but well, you never know in our business. Beyond a well, if we suddenly find that the field is extending way beyond where it is, then probably we'll drill more wells in the coming years. But currently, we're not seeing more than a well in Ilau.
Okay. So now coming on to Kyrgyzstan, so are you for the new wells that were drilled in Kyrgyzstan? Are we seeing any water loading issues for the new wells, or all the new wells, none of them have faced water loading issues?
I think the last time Kyrgyzstan stopped production was due to water loading in the gas well because it was a pure gas field at that time, and that's when it got shut in. See, Kyrgyzstan water will come. It's a question of time only. As of today, we have three wells producing in Kyrgyzstan. Two of them are producing oil, and one of them is producing gas primarily, right?
Mm.
So we have started to see water coming in the oil wells, but which is okay. I think eventually at some point it will also come in gas wells. The key thing is that the extent of the Kyrgyzstan field, based on the drilling that we have done, has increased, right?
Okay.
So therefore, that's why though we had started out with a four-well campaign, we stopped after a three-well campaign in Kyrgyzstan because we decided that it actually probably requires more wells, and we are going to reinterpret the data we have, including some of the new seismic we have recently acquired from the NDR and are reinterpreting to relook at one more sustained campaign at Kyrgyzstan.
Mhm.
But water, unlike Bakrol, both Lohar and Kyrgyzstan have water include have we can map water sands in them active aquifers, which is not there in Bakrol.
Okay, got it. And for the gas sales that we did, so for gas pricing, if I'm not wrong, it's going to be revised from October to 2023. I think we've done some auctions or something. So what is the gas price in what was the average gas price realization in FY23 and in probably second quarter of this financial year, which is FY24, and and what is likely to be going forward after October 23 revision? If you can just provide a brief guideline.
I think look, we don't normally, because these are commercials between multiple parties, we don't give out numbers as such. But what I can tell you is that we definitely are selling gas at much better prices than was traditionally sold by Selan in the years past. I think while we are not covered by the government mandated APM pricing, but because we are in the Gujarat market, it does have a drag on the pricing that we get in. But if you look at it, we also, the gas we sell is not really processed gas, so we end up saving $3 to $4 per MMBTU by not compressing and not processing the gas, but by just taking raw gas and selling it to the local suppliers, and we're getting pretty decent numbers from that. What we will start, as we'll get good handle on it, Weber, we probably will start reporting our oil and gas production separately as we go through it, and then you should be able to back calculate at least some average numbers for yourselves. But the reason we are not getting into that one, because we are ourselves trying to understand the gas balance, the gas measurements a little bit better, because gas is a little bit trickier than oil. uh, we are also evaluating the possibility that if we want to sell our gas into the grid and invest capital, which is basically condition the gas, compress it, will it generate enough value? Is there enough gas for us to do that? So those things are some of the things into question. As I said, we do want to move towards a gas-based economy and sustainable company as we go forward.
Okay. And so on the overall drilling plan, given the average drilling cost and everything, I think the 8 to 10 million is the investment that we are doing to increase the our production to base case of 750 BOPD, as you have given in one of your presentation. So on this whole investment of 8 to 10 million, when you plan for it, what was your target IRR and payback period? Just to understand, that what are the thresholds for making investments for us as of now. So if you can
Okay.
highlight the expected IRR and payback period, that would be.
I think, look, typically you're looking at mid-teens, high teens for IRRs, but this is a cyclical industry, right? The commodity
Right.
prices is not something that I control. So we want to make sure that we have robust IRRs at very low oil, what we consider low oil and gas prices for investment. And then if things become better, it is much, then you start reaping the the upward curve or that you are suddenly seeing in the market. I think from our current campaign perspective, there's one thing I would just like to add at a very high level when I would like you guys to look at is when we entered this fiscal year, we had around 200 crores of cash, and the company was doing shy of 500 barrels of oil plus gas equivalent per day.
Yes.
I think we should have, give or take, a same number of cash in our books when we exit the year, and production which is substantially higher than that. That should sort of answer the IRR and the payback period for you.
Oh, that's that's quite interesting. Yeah.
All
Uh,
right.
so I think on Russian oil you have already answered the question, but so now coming on to Antelopus. So the money that we are loaning out to Antelopus, will it be invested in Dwarmara field, or which field are you planning to use that money for?
I think the first field that will get developed in Antilopus is going to be the Ormara, followed by the Mumbai offshore, followed by this one. I mean, for developing Antilopus fields, there is a lot more money that we are including money from the investor shareholders that we have of Antilopus we will look for. I think this loan is primarily going to go towards the Dwarmara development, that I can say. And it has been sort of the drawdown schedule has been worked in such a way that it times with the Dormara this thing. So as Dormara development becomes closer and closer, it will basically be looked at creating that value for all. And with the merger approval that the board has done, and hopefully we will come up with the ratios, and you guys will get to look at the numbers. That is the value that we are going to create for everybody.
Yeah.
including the
So
current.
so here on Dwarmar, I know I'm not interested in any numbers, but it has been long time. I mean, since the time I think we bought it a stake from Oilmax, if I'm not wrong.
Correct.
But it has been long that this field has not done anything even after approval. So where is the problem? Is it funding? Is it forest clearance?
It
Is
was
it
forest
regulation?
clearance. It was forest clearance, Vaibhav. The forest clearance has finally come 2 weeks back.
But has it come for the whole project, or phase one or phase two? I think there were some phases also in your presentation.
Typically, how it goes, you have FC1 and then FC2. There's nothing phases in it. So effectively, we have got an FC1 clearance. The land has been given. So currently, we just have to make some payments to kick that gets us FC2. It already had an EC, which we just need to renew because the EC was given subject to FC. So that all now that the FC has finally come and all whatever process that needed to be done in Assam is behind us. Therefore, the schedules are a lot more mature, and we are hopeful that we'll start the Dormara production somewhere in uh, fiscal year 24, towards the
Hmm,
end. Actually, we're talking about early part of 24,
hmm, hmm, hmm.
early part of
Okay.
25, or towards the end. I think calendar year 25 के big first quarter के आसपास production चालू होनी चाहिए Dormara की.
Okay. Okay. I think yeah, I think most of my other questions have been answered, so I will just give it a pass. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Vaibhav.
Okay. Now I request Mr. Manan Patel to ask his questions.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Thank you for the opportunity. And first of all, I would like to congratulate you all, entire team of Selan, for the phenomenal work that you have done over the last 1 year since taking over. And it can be seen from the numbers, financials, as well as the way you are giving presentations and the way you are conducting the AGM as well. So that's very helpful. And I would also like to appreciate you for disclosing the antelopes just couple of days before the AGM, so that the people can get the understanding on that as well. So that's great. Sir, I have pretty few high level questions. First on Ceylon. So from the annual report, the reserves data that we have and the production that we are going through, it feels like the reserves are pretty small and might get exhausted soon. So from your understanding of the current production and the new data that you might have gotten, can you give a ballpark number of what kind of uh, proved and developed reserves do we have for Ceylon already?
So as you looked at the proved and developed reserves report in our annual report, because this time we actually put them in there, that is a oil companies need to have in there. It is small. It is small because we are primarily, our corner field asset is Bakrol. We're talking about sub 2 million barrels in terms of proved and developed. Right, 2P is a little bit to the north of that. But having said that, we know there's oil in place in Selan. I think in Bakrol, oil in place is large. That's what got us interested in Selan as a company, because we saw that potential. I think we should hopefully see an upward revision to these numbers, particularly post successful implementation of water flooding pilot. And one of the reasons we are also, because the remaining PSC life is only till 2030. So that is a conversation we are going to have. We have already written to the government for extension beyond 2030, and we are also asking independent third party agencies to relook at the data, and in with and without water flooding, tell us what those reserves could be, so that we can actually have a better ground to stand on. I think one thing, I don't know whether you noticed, is if you look at our increase or reserve replacement ratio last year, it has been a little bit more than the production that we have done this year, in the year gone by. So our reserve replacement ratio was greater than one last year, but still we are talking about small numbers. For us to become a mid-sized independent company, we need reserve numbers which are an order of magnitude bigger than that.
Understood. And sir, do you have any timeline by which we can get these, like when you will publish these reserve numbers, maybe in FY24 or early 25?
Definitely in FY24, we will publish these numbers.
Understood. So second question on Selan. So we have drilled around 10 wells. So what kind of peak production can we expect? From Q1 presentation, we are already doing a 800 barrels oil equivalent per day. So what kind of peak production from these 10 wells do we expect going forward?
I think we had said we are doing around 800 barrels per day. I think we are going to give a Q2 result out soon. But what I can say in the AGM is we are doing better than 800 as of today. We have added a little bit more to this. But as you said, the critical thing is it is peak production, because these wells will keep on declining. The reason I'm not giving you an exact number as of today is because we're still about to start the second phase of fracking in our wells that have been drilled, because these wells need to be drilled and fracked, which will hopefully start mid-November, and we'll start seeing some more results. But we are comfortable that the guidance we had said 750 to 1250, that somewhere in that range we will be, because so far the frack campaigns that we have done gives us no reason to believe that we will be away from that sort of a number.
Understood. So that's very helpful. And so last question on Selan is, so we have increased the employee count, the cost has also improved. So now with the increase in production, can we expect, like apart from the government sharing and other costs, so can we expect the fixed costs or employee costs and other costs of production to remain in a similar range while we increase the production, so that the effect on operating profitability increases substantially with the increase in production? So is that the right understanding?
That's the right understanding, and the answer is yes. That's what my endeavor also is. Because because a big part of it was to create that volume and new production, and that production is coming in, so that the fixed cost is there. Therefore, my per barrel cost should start coming down.
That's great to hear. And so a few questions on antelopers. So from what I understand from your reading the presentation on antelopers, is it's a way or like much larger company than Selan, at least in terms of the reserves that we have disclosed. So as a long-term shareholder of Selan, if I want to hold this company for 3 to 5 years, essentially I would be betting on antelopers. So if you can give us, like, whatever your understanding and whatever you can disclose, your capex plans for antelopers, and apart from the fund 100 crores that we will be raising from Selan, what kind of funding is in place? What kind of capex will be required over next 1 or 2 years? If that you can share, that would be very helpful.
I think we will share that with you in due course of time, because currently the advisors who are doing the valuations of both companies are looking at those numbers. But as a long-term shareholder, what I can say is you typically bet on the management of a company. The reserves, you bet on the fact that they will be able to find new reserves, they will be able to control their costs, they will be able to deal with the uncertainties that are in our business, which is cyclical in nature. I think you are right in your remark that antelope assets are order of magnitude larger in terms of reserve base than Ceylon, and therefore they will require capital that is much more higher. And we as management are committed to getting that capital into the business, even post merger into integrated business. We have a very strong institutional investor with us, which is Oaktree. So they continue to be interested and invested in this business, both through Blackbuck in Ceylon and through Blackbuck in Antelope. And with hopefully long-term investors like yourself, we will create that vision, which is a mid-sized oil and gas company, which I think India currently doesn't have.
You are right, sir. I started investing in this company once the new management came in and the track record of the management. So, and you have proven it over last 1 year. So,
Thank you.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
that.
Thank you very much.
And sir, one last question is in terms of what kind of timelines do we expect in terms of merger and coming out with the merger ratios, getting the full approval and getting the company integrated. So do you have a ballpark number on what kind of timelines do we expect for the entire process? Like I understand the judicial process will take its own time, but whatever we have to do in terms of coming out with merger ratios, shareholder approvals and all that. So how much time do we expect for that?
I think the advisors have been engaged on all side on from all sides. I think they're looking at it as of now. I hopefully very soon, not too far out, we should be coming out, and we're not talking about months away. We basically, now that we have come out and we wanted to, we were very particular to talk about this merger before AGM, and that's why we made the announcement. I think currently, as soon as the advisors come back to us with ratios to both the boards, and if we think it is these are the right sort of numbers, the board will, on their discretion, approve it, and then we will make it public and go to SEBI and shareholders. But in all best cases, we're talking about a 15-month process going forward post the board approval.
Understood. So that's very helpful and wish you all the best. Let's
Thank you.
hope to see a much larger company 3 to 5 years down the line. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Manan. Now, I request Mr. Anuj Sharma to ask his questions.
Yeah, thank you. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving an opportunity and congratulations for improved disclosures and efforts you have put into the business. And it's really appreciable the way you are conducting this AGM. I'll not repeat the questions, but I'd want to understand to the point you touched last to the previous speaker. You see, India, we haven't seen many private upstream companies. And what do you think we can do differently that we can be a reasonably mid-sized company in this country? Yeah, that's my first question.
Okay, I think Anuj, what we can do differently is the management, and just not just some of the people that you're seeing on as of now on the screens, but also the wider operational management that we have gotten into Selan. It is a deep India experience. I think this management in their earlier avatars did increase India's production by around 25%. But having said that, we do have the asset base. If we do get the capital and you are open in technology deployment and you follow safety, sustainability, and good governance practices, there is really nothing that stops you from creating a mid-sized energy company. And we have to be open, as I said, there are winds of change. is not just oil and gas. That's why we really want to get into moving from oil and gas into energy piece, because things will change. The job of the management is going to be how nimble are we to recognize those changes and make sure that we basically capitalize on some of those changes and create value for everybody. Uh, People where we operate, people who are our shareholders, and people who work for us. I think really it is capital, assets, and the regulatory policies have really changed over the last 4 5 years. I mean, the way how simpler it is to basically get approvals from oil and gas ministry, the gas infrastructure that's being put in place, the marketing freedom that we are getting in. So there's still a lot to go. I'm not saying that we got everything right, but we got a lot right compared to where we were, let's say, 7 years ago.
All right, all right. The second is on the reserve replacement ratio. You said, and congratulations for achieving greater than one. But can that be a sustainable number? And within the reserves possible within Bakrol, are we looking at realistically achieving more than one accretion or a reserve replacement ratio going forward?
We are hoping that we do, because the water flooding piece is pilot is going to be critical for that journey, because the in place in Bakrol is reasonable. I think it's just the recoverables are low. I think as a part of how we have done the Bakrol drilling as of now, is we have also secured a lot more land for with a future in mind, in terms of different well pads, because we can see that, because it's a very like it's a city. It is basically Ahmedabad primarily, right? In and around Ahmedabad. So land becomes a premium. So we have just taken some proactive steps, gotten a lot more land, and being future ready. But yes, it is possible. I think, look, even if we get to 15% recoverable, forget 30% benchmark for global water floods. That's completely going to change the production potential, everything else. Having said so, we're still not talking about very large production volumes from the onshore Ahmedabad fields.
Okay. Okay. And we gave out some plans on our production average being 750 to 1200 BOEPD. And we said we are on track, maybe well within on track. Now we might have an average output exit of 925 to 1500 BOPD. Is this number sustainable, or due to the nature of wells, which is once you drill and it keeps declining, you'll have to put efforts to keep this range going forward? So what I'm trying to understand, once you achieve a 1000 to 1500 BOPD, is it maintainable, or it's an effort to maintain that?
It is an effort to maintain. That is a simpler way to answer it. Because as you rightly picked up, these are declining fields. Still, I have water flood. Again, I can't maintain pressures and all. But having said that, in my previous answer to capital deployment and capital allocation, I also said that we entered this year with 200 crores with some production levels. We're exiting this year at 200 crores, give or take, and a much more higher production level. So that sort of thing is not going to change with time. So that means that the payback period for some of the wells that we will drill within these fields, particularly in Bakrolan, is not long. So you will be incentivized. It's not going to be large campaigns, but you will have always a drilling campaign that will make sure that you are addressing this decline issue, and they will be self-funding. It's sort of managing the working capital of this company as we go forward.
Okay. And related to that, there's a difference between the base assumption and optimistic assumption. Now, the reason for this difference is our efforts to drill more wells, or is it just presence of more oil in one of these wells which can make this difference between a 750 to 1200 run rate?
It
So,
is, yeah, it is not I think it's the uncertainty of the business that we live through, because in Bakrol, we know it's a low permeability or low deliverability system. Somewhere, there is always a range. We have wells in Bakrol that do very well. We have wells in Bakrol that don't do as well. And howsoever hard we have been trying over the last year, We have some theories. We keep on testing the theories to figure out how can we increase the number of wells that do well. But what we have so far learned is that as long as I drill enough number of wells, on the average, I do okay. I will get some good wells, I will get some bad wells, but average, theek rahega. Average is reasonably okay. And the piece that we have a control on is our ability to execute within timelines, within costs, track in a particular way. That we think we have gotten a pretty good handle as of now. Now we are trying to figure out, can we outsmart nature in terms of figuring out that a bigger portion of the wells that I drill is going to be towards the higher end of the curve rather than lower end of the curve. And that's something the geologists and the engineers will keep on working till we abandon these fields.
Sure, appreciate that. And on Kyrgyzstan, you said you've been positively surprised to an extent. So, what is the sustainable output we can expect from this field? Lohar, you have given some clarity that you will never be sure of that. But on Kyrgyzstan, what is the number we can look at?
I think we'll come up with Kyrgyzstan guidance, but one of the things I want to say is Kyrgyzstan is a small field. uh, our cornerstone in Selan is Bakrol. Bakrol is actually a field that's going to last many, many years. I think Kyrgyzstan will also last, but it is one of those fields that will decline because it has active what we call aquifers or water that supports the pressure. As we saw in the first well last year, the only well being inherited, that it shut as soon as water hit it. So Kyrgyzstan will be one of those filler productions till we have other things coming into the asset portfolio of the company.
Okay. And on Elau, what is the estimated 2P reserves of this field? You've said it's a small field.
Small, it's small. I'm not actually giving out the numbers on Elau because it's small. One of the reasons we have done the Elau deal was it is small. We should be able to get, with the current economic conditions, get back the money that we are drilling the well with. But it has an upside to it. If that upside comes through, so then we'll start giving you actual numbers around it. But otherwise, it's a very small field that probably has a year and a half life, and that's about it.
Okay. And my last question is, there has been inflation in the cost of production or drilling. We have given an indication of how we intend to manage the capital allocation and the cash. But what has been the inflation out there, and does the pricing in oil compensate that? Just some outlook
So
in terms of costing.
I think we were lucky, and you're right to point out as oil prices increase, there is definitely increase of our cost base. One is because there is more competition for the same things, particularly if you are in the middle of the drilling campaign. We were lucky this time around because most of the contracts that we landed on before we started this drilling campaign, we managed to get pretty decent and competitive rates. So that was, I would like to say it was by design, but it was also timing. There's not much design in these things, right? Because you have only so many rigs that are in onshore Gujarat and everybody is vying for them. I think we are trying currently to make sure that we can freeze those prices going forward, at least for next year, if not more than that. The steel and all that will increase, I think, but the increase in prices and all that we'll have is that comes nowhere close to the increase in commodity prices we have. But we will still, even in spite of the increase of prices, our stress assumption for capital allocation will not rely on the current prices. It is going to rely on price tag, which is much lower than that.
Sure. Thank you again. And just one, I think we will look forward to a favorable and just merger ratio as long-term shareholders. And I think, but congratulations, we have done well and really appreciate the way we've taken forward this company. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We also look forward to creating value for all our investor shareholder and also our public shareholders.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Bhatt.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Now I request Mr. Rahul Kumar Paliwal to ask his questions.
Hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
First of all, congrats and thanks for making it very interactive, the entire session of AGM. That shows your focus on execution, get the house cleaned and optimize the resources. So my questions are like, where do you see more hopes in terms of oil or gas side, or both can scale up a lot? That's one question. Then your cost of production per barrel in case of crude, are you selling it in the domestic market or international also? You can sell open market sell, or and what's the realization for the last whole year? And if you can give certain idea about margin on the same gross margin. A
Okay.
third question is about cash flow will be higher and higher going forward. So what will be the better ROC for you in that case? Is it like redeploying the cash into again oil and gas exploration side, or acquiring new fields or something, or you wanted to move into some new energy space, in a longer term kind of picture we wanted to have?
Okay. I think let me just pick up the first question, which was around what predominantly. I think as of today, we are predominantly still on oil production, though our gas production keeps on increasing. I think we are around 60-40 now in terms of oil and gas, in terms of a production split as Selan. But our upside potential within the Selan fields is primarily is Bakrol, which is basically oil as of now, and we expect that to increase as we de-risk it further and drill more campaigns. Now, having said that, and you are right that we will keep on generating more and more revenues. And that's one of the reasons that we have talked about that there is a perfect synergy between Antilopus and Selan, because this management team understands and knows how to do oil and gas. While we would love to understand new energy, we are looking at various new energy options. We might come do some pilots on green hydrogen and things like that as we go forward. And we do understand the need to sort of keep our eyes open on that. But we also know that there's a bigger need to, on this journey towards sustainability, get into more and more gas production, because gas itself has become a very valuable commodity, one from a pricing perspective, but second from lesser impact in terms of carbon footprint on the environment. And in India, we are way far off from in terms of the total, in our energy basket, the amount of gas that we use as a country. And there's such an open market, and with the pricing freedom and the pipelines that are coming in, we do see ourselves getting more and more into pushing more and more the agenda around gas production and gas sales. Having said that, wherever our oil assets are there, we will make sure that we keep on producing from them. We get on getting the right technology into the system and pushing the needle towards growth there. As far as as of today, nobody in this country can sell oil or gas outside. So everything needs to be sold within this country. That is how the PSCs are structured. I think till India is going to be self-reliant, all the production in India has to be sold within India. So, which is in a way good, because we, as a country, more than 85% of our energy is imported. So we have no issue with that restriction and stipulation that is there in the PSCs, because it comes along with the freedom for us to market. So it depends on us how we market. Most of our crude is benchmarked to international benchmarks like Brent. And I know we have not been given guidances on what kind of realization do we get with the Brent, because recently, that was last October, the government also said we could ourselves discover prices and sell to some private players. We have started selling to private players. We are trying to get our handle on the market. Our majority oil is still sold to Indian Oil as of today. We're selling to some private players in and around Gujarat. So as we get our better grip on the overall market, we will start giving guidances on the benchmarks that we're using. But mostly, if you're going to track what kind of revenues will come through, it will be linked to international benchmarks like Brent and Bonnie Light, and some sort of adjustment which we are trying to work as we go through more and more time. Gas, as I said to the previous one of the previous questions, is gas we are selling at pretty competitive rates within the Gujarat market. I think we already have an advantage of $3-4 because the gas we are selling unprocessed and uncompressed gas. We will evaluate that if we do increase our production cost by $3-4, do we get the incremental benefit in our revenues? We are looking at it and analyze and sort of do it. Longer term, yes, we are saying it's an energy company. I think we will call it an energy company. We will probably evaluate some of the greener options as we go forward. So watch out for that. These are ideas that are sort of on the drawing board, nothing concrete in terms of execution as of now. Hopefully that answers your questions, Rahul.
Again, per cost barrel, any idea? The digging, the exploration?
So we will start giving out those numbers because we are in the middle of the drilling campaign. I want the drilling campaign to be wrapped up before we start giving you the actual cost that we have. And so typically what we do is when we say cost per barrel for drilling, or we also need to estimate the reserves that we have created with the drilling. So for that, we are engaging third parties to tell us how much reserves have we accreted. So once we have those numbers done, the drilling campaign is nearly there, we will be able to give you the cost per barrel that we have incurred to add to our kitty.
Sure, sure. I have a set of three questions more. One is on your resources, human resources. So such a high quality human resources team you are building. So partially you have answered it, but still I want to put in front of you. That is only for oil and gas side only, or we are more into getting into R&D into green energy area. Like again, we are reading a lot about new disruptions like nuclear fusions and other kind of energy area like aluminium. Through alumina, there is some project which is ongoing where it can generate immense energy, green hydrogen and so forth, and even on services side also. So that's like full potential of the technical team you are having. So any comment on that? And why not deploy the best technology, best people at the best geographical region? Why India only? I mean, of course. So if the India import bill you talked about is very very high, and probably there is no respectable mid-size or good size company in the energy space like kind of Exxon, which is of course very a big company, but more or less it is PSU or government driven sector. So my next question would be on that only. And any comment on the new gas field which you gave disclosure of? So I will start with this set of questions.
I think, Rahul, look, we always aspire to grow. I think growth is good. As I said, growth is our motive, but we need to have a sustainable growth. I think currently we think in our portfolio within Selan, and then also that's why we got Antelopus into the mix. There is enough for next 2-3 years for us to create a sustainable mid-size energy company, well poised on the path of sustainability through gas production to deliver to everybody. We are looking at green in terms of new emerging technologies. Hydrogen is something we are looking at. And one of the reasons we are looking at hydrogen is because it is very similar to what we do. I mean, hydrocarbons have carbon apart from hydrogen with them. So oil and gas that we produce is a mixture of carbon and hydrogen. So we understand natural gas. We understand how it does. So it sort of is natural sort of lateral move into a new energy area for us. So we're looking at it and with the team you rightly said is a deeply technical team. These are the guys who are looking at that. And we will see if something tangible needs to be done, we'll do it. As far as going outside India is concerned, look, we keep on getting a lot of proposals going outside India as well. Many of us have worked outside India for many years, do have strong roots down there also. But I think there is so much potential in India that currently we are India focused. But look, I'm not saying we'll never go outside India. That's not possible. If something that actually is additive, accretive to what we are trying to do in India, and something comes along the way, we will probably look at it. We will definitely look at it. But currently, the focus is in India. The thing we will probably not get into is we will probably not get into being a service provider. I think we are going into an energy generator, energy provider rather than a service provider. Those are some of the things, at least, we have been debating, and we'll keep on talking about it in the board of the company as well.
Sure. My next question is about government side. So exploration is a very complex business considering the government, people, environment, and are at stake. So what kind of commitments do the stakeholders provided you while starting the business, taking over the Selan and then again pursuing being a listed company through the merger, reverse merger, and specifically government side, what do you see? So we have seen your couple of tweet on meeting with the Mr. Pradhan in 2021. So I think just wanted to read your mind, like what kind of commitment is there from this stakeholder, because these are I mean it's like both stakeholders has to be on same page for having a success in this business. So that's one thing. And same line, is government opening up some of top reserved location like that of the marine part of the army, which is the key reform which drove you to put up so much resources and energy into this area. So kind of any comment on that, and how would you like to deal with the unknown risk and high congestion period of the exploration?
So I think that I'll pick up the last question first. Is, as I said, is we are not wanting to do any exploration at this stage in our evolution as a company. We are only focusing on assets that have already been discovered and developed. Let me give you an example. Selan, you guys know it. These are discovered assets. They're developed to some extent. There is more potential, so we're not taking any exploration risk. Even in Antilopus, when we formed it, it was around discovered fields. We did not bid in OLAP, or which is basically pure exploration. I think, for example, the Mumbai High Basin. I mean, uh, there are 6 discoveries. The 6 wells have been drilled by ONGC. There's a lot of seismic there. The hydrocarbon has flown to surface. Same is across the Mahanadi asset of Antilopus, which was ex-Reliance asset. There are like 6, 7 Reliance wells that have flowed to surface, which then government took it back through relinquishment and put it back out. So exploration we're not wanting to do as of now. I don't think our balance sheet is suited to take exploration risk as of today. And there is enough in our kitty to basically focus on discovered resources and create that mid-size energy company going forward. In terms of commitment and from the and you're right, all of these are production or risk sharing contracts with the government of India. The ultimate owner of oil and gas in this country is the government of India. Right? We all have a contract and we have entitlement to start producing them. Uh, you never get commitments that way, right? But what we know is that the macro environment has changed. Many years back, if you wanted to start, all the leases were held by state oil company, and then you have to carry them, and then they would farm in. All that thing is gone. I think we have a lot more interactive regulator. For example, we talked about Karjisan, right? That we are relooking at it. The government has created a national data repository. There's everybody's data, irrespective of who has taken it. So the seismic that we're reinterpreting over Kurdistan, it would have taken us millions of dollars to acquire it. But that's the seismic that ONGC had acquired it, and we got it at a fraction of a cost from the national data repository. So what we can see is that the government is trying their best to create players, uh, basically, and support technical management teams who understand this oil and gas business to create something of value to increase the oil and gas production of this country. And that has been consistently seen as we have had this journey over the last few years, including, for example, when we decided as Antelopus to come in and take operating control of Selan. We It was a very quick approval process from the government, and really, I mean, I have really nothing to complain on that part. Is that we actually, one of the reasons we got together as a professional team and decided to look for institutional investors, foreign institutional investors, was because we could see that above ground the general macro environment was changing and was pushing to create energy companies in this country.
Got it. My last question is about this set of question is about so crude is basically a raw hydrocarbon resource, which has a very long value chain, addition chain, right? So are you planning to move into higher value chain also?
Not at this
Considering-
stage. Not at
Okay,
this stage, Rahul. Not, we're just looking at selling it. Not at this stage. It because the other part is capital intensive also. I know there is refining, there is crude chemicals, all of that. I mean, technically, I know we can have a look at it, but I think we know that our strength comes from producing oil and gas as much as can from the ground and using technology and at as efficiently as possible over the next few years. That's what we'll focus on.
okay. My last question is about this concept of peak oil theory. So just wanted to read your mind. I mean, as per that, it's like a sunset industry, and then oil has been peaked. Why you wanted to getting interested into and committed so much? Of course, there are resources need, and on a practical side, all dirty sources, coal and everything has saved us in last couple of years. That's another side of reality. Or you thinking in a bet as a, because the oil is going to peak means crude can become a very expensive and can move out of commodity, and it can become a unavoidable value chain in next 10 to 20 years. So just wanted to read on that if you have any
I'll try
update.
to do as succinctly as possible. Look, peak oil is a theory, right? But I also remember that when I was a lot younger, a lot less gray hair, people used to say, "अगले 10 साल में तेल खत्म हो जाएगा." अभी हुआ तो है नहीं. It has been many years since then, right? But if you look at some of the energy reports and the consumption reports that are being published globally, you can see that the consumption is there, right? Even in the best scenarios, fossil fuels still have a role to play in providing energy. That is one part. I don't think they're going to go. And one of my good friends at one point said, when the Stone Age finished, people didn't stop using stones. The use of the stones probably changed. Right? We don't make wheels out of stones; we make houses. But but the fact remains for us as a country, right? One thing is true. To improve the living standard of any society, it needs access to energy. If we can do our bit in providing that access to energy at affordable cost, right, then that money can be used for something else. The overall, it is for the betterment and the living conditions change. As long as I keep that as simple as that in our mind, is that energy is needed. We are a growing country. We are still a developing country to some extent, right? So we need energy. So the more energy we can produce in-house rather than have to buy from outside the country is better, right? And in this process, if all of our stakeholders also are making money, that's okay. But the bigger purpose is that energy is not going to go anywhere for many years to go. So we're not taking either a contra or this view, but we are always keeping our eyes open. As I said, the hydrogen piece looks interesting. So we're keeping an eyes open. We might even do a little pilot to figure it out what happens because as soon as the regulatory regime changes, something might happen. We're talking currently, we have heard that there is some news around that you might have to blend some percentage of hydrogen in the natural gas. So we sell natural gas. Maybe we'll look at creating a blending plant of our own, then see how you scale it up. As long as we are nimble on our feet, I think it will work because energy is not going to go anywhere. As long as humanity is there, we will consume energy.
Thanks for being patient and answer in such a graceful manner. Wishing you the best, and we stand by you for creating a very respectable company.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paliwal. Now, I would like to inform that Mr. Murlidhar Tareja, Mr. Santosh Chopra, and Mr. Samarat Mohan Singh, who have registered themselves as a speaker shareholder, is currently not available to ask their queries. So, I request them to send their queries through email so that we can reply them. Over to you, sir. Sir, one more thing. I would like to present my vote of thanks to every shareholders, directors, and esteemed guests who have attended this 38th annual general meeting. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Yogita, for organizing this. Thank you to all my board members for joining in and providing direction and guidance to the management of Selan throughout the year. Thank you to my colleagues who are also my CFO, my whole-time director who are sitting in here for being with me on this journey. And thank you for the shareholders for patiently listening and asking all relevant questions. Hopefully, we are learning to do better as we go through this process. All we can promise you guys is that we will look up for the interests of all shareholders. We believe in governance, and we will have full disclosures and transparency as we go forward on this journey. So thank you very much for being patient with us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.